portal glows with a glorious red light. Within it you can see the shapes of memories.
Come and talk a while.
Pagan the Capricious. Come and talk a while, friend. Share with me tales of your travels. I've had the most unusual dream. Oh yes, dreams are always filled with meaning. They are our eyes into the beyond. They are our eyes into something beyond our reality, visions of the past or the future. Are you saying that when we dream we see the future? It is what some believe. I have heard tales of great prophets whose dreams foretell the future. Entire kingdoms have been built on such dreams, and entire kingdoms have fallen. Please tell me one of these tales. Red Knight. He is one of the Red Knights. Okay. So we're replaying some of the main past events. Meridoc sits here at the fire savoring the moment. Captain Elsion.
It is done.
They are dead, but who were these men? I don't know, but I swear I will find out. I will find out who is behind this.
Farewell.
I wish you good fortune, for a difficult journey lies before you. Thank you.
By all the hells!
All dead. They're all dead. I know, Meridoc. I'm terribly sorry, but there was nothing we could do. His eyes blaze with anger. We must find whoever is behind this atrocity. We must have justice. Yes, we will find those responsible and we will bring them to justice.
You have my thanks.
Come, my friend, let us begin our journey. You are certain that many years shall pass before you come this way again. Mines of Luhim. Can I actually go there?
You must fall for the greater good.
Larian,
Nature's thanks to you.
you have saved me from a fate worse than death. You're welcome. I'm named Larian Tiernan Gareth, and by what name are you known? I'm named Ania Melimian. But it is an honor to meet you, Ania Melimian. I'm forever in your debt, and so I pledge that I will stand by you to the end of my days. Thank you. It will be good to have you at my side. Why would I care about the loot bags? What's the other direction then?
I will
Bandits.
strike them down.
Bandit chef. Giant swamp vipers.
You must fall for the greater good.
It certainly doesn't seem like we're fighting for any challenge. We're basically just replaying our past. Fight is trivial. Only one hit kills.
Surrender, or prepare to meet your end.
I greet you.
Enorn.
Welcome.
Welcome. Greetings, Sir Evanorn. My name's Ania. It's a pleasure to meet you, Ania. And what events and purposes have brought you here into my home? I have come to speak with you about a man named Uther Palandras. I believe you knew him. Uther Palandras. I have not heard that name for many years, but yes, he was a friend to me once, long ago. Do you know what happened to him? This he said to me before he left. When your hand touches the sky, there you shall find me. I believe this refers to a tower he built at the highest peak of the Dathomir Mountains. Tower that touches the sky? Yes, that is where I must go. And I will help you. I will help you to find Uther Palandras. You have my thanks. I hope this goes quickly by certain events like the fucking 100 years of sleep, otherwise we'll be here for the next 3 to 4 hours. Goblins. I have no interest in fighting them. Fighting them was a waste of time the first time. Ooh. Ghostly warrior of some sort. I can't attack it, so I can't. It's basically getting free attacks on me because of it. He's actually very tough. Why the fuck would you put an opponent like this here? It's not very sturdy. I mean, what's the point of giving me an opponent that even gives experience at this point? Not like I get the chance to use it on anything.
Listen well to what I have to say.
I have looked upon the end of days, and I have seen the shadow of the one who will bring it about, the Unmaker, the bane of history. He shall come into the halls of prophets and bring with him blindness. By his hand shall begin the century of sorrow, the final century of this world. It shall not come to pass. Fate has shown me the means to prevent this. They are cruel and unjust, but the needs of the uncounted unborn outweigh all concerns. Even honor and justice pale beside the future. It must be done. It already has been done. I am already to blame 200 years before the death of Northshire. He shall walk the poisoned fields. He shall cross the fields of fire. And when he comes to me, I shall destroy him, and his fate shall crumble. I shall remove him from history forever. And I believe that he will understand why. With the final breath that he utters as he dies hidden in the darkness away from the world, he will forgive me. So you say.
Well met.
Is this not a beautiful day? It is indeed. Fortune is with us, and the wind is at our back. It should not be long before we reach the shores of Akaban. I suggest you go downstairs and rest yourself. I will let you know when we approach the wild shores. Thank you.
Well met.
Greetings. So what have we here? A traveler from the north. Indeed, and who are you? I'm Arkham, son of Mepos. I welcome you to the Amdevar. Sea of sand stretches out before you. Water elemental used his drown attack. Instant death. I think to everyone who fails a fortitude saving throw. And everyone failed a fortitude saving throw. Uses up 50% of his health though, so have to recover that. I think he's mainly uses the drown attack if he's uninjured. We get to fight the worm. The construct looks down at you with a steely gaze. I wish to enter the city. It looks at your weapons. Sorry. It opens the gate with its massive hand. Market of Hirathanum is filled with the sounds and 1,000 exotic smells.
Well met.
I am named Atelkan. And who is this who enters my presence? My name is Ania. It's good to have you with us, Ania. Together we shall put an end to the tyranny of the Caliph Amorphet. Do you have a plan?
Listen well to what I have to
Yes,
say.
listen well to what I have to say.
Greetings.
Greetings, Master Krethan. You are named Ania, correct? And I am told that you are gifted with prophetic sight. I am she, and yes, I carry that burden. I think I called it gift. I am she, and yes, I carry that gift.
By the ages!
By the ages! Come, we must study this gift of yours. I believe it holds the key to all of the secrets of creation. Yes, please teach me more about my powers. Do I go there or do I go up?
Identify yourself.
My name is Ania. I humbly beg your audience, great Amorphet. Bow and worship before me, mortal,
Hear me.
and obey my command. Lie. I'm your loyal servant, your eminence. With bated breath you enter the magnificent halls of the Chantry of the Weaver.
What? Hello!
Greetings, sir. I have come to speak with the Dreamweavers. I want to know my fate. Do you? Have you truly contemplated what it means to know your fate? Yes, I have come a long way to ask these questions, and I have thought about them for a long time. Wish to learn my destiny. Then you shall. Come, I will lead you to the Weavers. And here we are. Your own future self stands at the edge of time, looking back. Do I talk to him? Probably not. Hail the unmaker of cages, hail the hope of history.
Evil shall never triumph!
Thank you for your aid, Anya. From this moment, you shall always be known as the hero of the people of Groenheld.
Stop right there.
Alexar. Anya. Yes, it is I. So once again you dream of me. Indeed, this must be a dream. You must not fight this battle. The army that comes upon you is too great. They will defeat you. Perhaps, but I have no choice. My men and I are all that stands between this undead army and the township of the Kasir Valley. Our duty lies here. Then your duty shall be your death. Shit happens. Feel free to shoot at some point. Wait.
Surrender, or prepare to meet your end.
Soldiers' ghosts. Fuckers have concealment. Savants. Who's the elephant woman? I don't recognize her. You recognize this woman, but it feels like someone else's memory. This woman's eyes are strangely familiar, and yet she looks right through you, as if she's searching for someone else, someone who has been lost. Right. Our companion. We probably we didn't need to sacrifice him. I think we should have just basically pressed on in a way, because that was always the plan, and they did want to make a true choice, so I think I would have succeeded. Him not so much. Larian. I think that's Larian's family name.
I greet you, my child.
He closes his eyes and recites, "And when the last ends the timeless dream, so shall the sleeper be made real and again walk among the living."
I greet you.
I greet you, Mr. Sania. It is an honor to meet you at last.
Well met.
Can you open this door for me? Yeah, I would be honored, madam. Right. Sandra.
Greetings to you.
Greetings. Are you the woman named Sandra? I'm told you can guide me to the city of Ritzelway.
I can do that.
Excellent. Then please join me in my travels.
Help me! Come help here!
What's the matter? It's the zombies. The master says they're our friends, but I think they want to eat us. I'm so scared. Don't worry, kid. I'm going to put an end to this. Come on, lead me to your town. Oh. Well, I successfully blinded myself, which is, I suppose, some sort of an achievement. However, I probably did the same thing to a lot of the undead, so I think overall we're in a good shape. Looking at my options, I don't want to rest at this point. Do I have better arrows? Give me fire arrows. Ooh, no, we have exploding arrows. Last chance to use them. Explosive arrows are good enough. Yeah, I think I still might loot these. Just in case they throw some kind of silly bites at us. I mean, the moment of choice is coming up, so what do the bites even matter anymore?
Well met.
And who are you that comes before me? My name is Ania. Be cautious, Ania, for these lands are full of the undead.
Present yourself.
Who are you? My name is Ania. I have come in search of Lord Evanor. And you have come much too late. He has left this city many decades ago. Nevertheless, I must follow him. I must find what he has learned. Then go and heed my words. Leave this place in its peace. Goodbye. I don't recall this. We walk among the ruins of 1,000 civilizations strewn across the shores of an ocean of time. Terazar. The Terazar woman now slightly as her eyes meet you. She looks like Fate. Was she always the Fate character then? The ghostly woman bows before you. She extends her hand, beckoning you to follow. Take her hand. Final gate. The hammer and anvil, symbols of Lore, the creator god. I'll go check this if this statue is something worth of note. It's not. Suddenly the path before you is encircled with a ring of ethereal light. You feel the hair on the back of your neck rise, tingling with electrical charge. Your soul shudders as you pass through the ring. End of days. Make your choice. Chill passes through your soul. Everyone's here.
I greet you, my child.
Savant bows deeply. I greet you, my child. For so long we have waited. For so long we have dreamed of the day when you shall wake, and the moment when you shall save the world from this century of sorrow. This is that moment. The moment that defies us all. Finds us all. I believe in you. I believe that you will do the right thing and restore the balance that you had once broken. You are the destroyer, yes, but also the savior. You are the final hope for this world. You are the one for whom we have all sacrificed so much. Now it is time for you to repay us for our suffering. Now it's time for you to restore the balance. So many generations have prayed that you would save us. That hope is all that we had. It was all that kept us going. Please, Anya, please don't let us down. Restore the balance. Save our world. Please, this is your destiny. The elder bows before you. He led us on. So we meet again. Here at the edge of time. Here where you face the greatest and most terrible choice ever faced by a mortal. I too had once faced a terrible choice. It was a choice between freedom versus survival. I had chosen survival and paid the price with all the souls of my people. You had seen the wisdom of that choice. You listened to me once, now listen to me again. All that is truly precious requires sacrifice, and life is most precious of all. For its sake, all else must be surrendered. Because of my actions, my people have survived this century of sorrow. They have been spared the horrible fate that befell so many. And now, when you restore balance to this world, their suffering will end at last. Now I will free their souls so that they can return to their bodies and be made whole again. You see the wisdom of my choice. I did what I did to save them. It was a sin, perhaps, but it was necessary. I let my soul be damned so that theirs would be saved. There's no greater sacrifice than any leader can make. And now you must do the same. You must commit a terrible sin. You must lie to your former self and trick her to shatter the Pentarak. Only thus will the balance be restored. Yeah, Pentarak. I think Tesseract is something from Marvel movies. Your soul will be damned, but the world will be saved. You must commit this sin, for it too is necessary. All that is truly precious requires sacrifice, and life is most precious of all. But at the same time, if I don't do it, I've never been doing anything too bad. I'm neutral good. Always strive to do good things. Jesus Christ, there's like 100 people here. Maybe a little over a dozen. Sandra laughs. Oh, what a fitting end this is for you, Unmaker. What a fitting torment. You may have avoided my vengeance, but this damnation you cannot escape. Either you are cursed for casting the world into 100 years of horror, or for destroying it entirely. You cannot turn away, for that itself is a choice. And so you shall be damned, and your guilt will be your cage for all time. Except if I destroy the world, there is not going to be anyone here to regret it. Huh, thanks for that advice.
You've doomed us all!
Alex Targaryen. What happens now cannot change that. You have seen what your sins have brought. Piece by piece it has torn us apart. It has taken away everything, our loves, our hopes, even our virtues, and all that ever gave meaning to our lives. What point is there to a future without these things? What purpose can there be to that lingering nightmare? There is no more reason for this world to persist, for the suffering it has already endured is too much for it to bear. The future has already been lost. We will never recover from this pain. It is time for us to die. You might as well let us die free. Milady? I don't know if you remember me, but we met in Utbanor once, some weeks ago. You spoke to me of hope then. You said that there is still hope that all of this will end. I knew then that there was something special about you. You are the one who can save us. You are the one who can end all this terrible suffering. Please, milady, please don't destroy us. We have clung to these last remnants of life. We have struggled through these days of grief, all in the hope that we could still be saved. Please don't let us down. See here my daughter. She is still so young. She still has so much to live for. Please don't break her heart where it still beats. Please give her a chance to live her life. Our children can still rebuild this world. They can still bring back all that was lost. They can, if only you would let them, milady, please. Their fate lies in the palm of your hand. This woman looks vaguely familiar. You may not remember me, my lady, but I remember you. I dreamed of you long ago as my husband lay dying in his bed. In my dream, you soothed my heart and gave me merciful advice. You advised me to pray, to place my husband's fate in the hands of the gods. And so I did, and my prayers were answered. He recovered. My dear Surin recovered from his illness and soon returned to health. Bless you, milady. Bless you for advising me to trust the gods. Sometimes we must place our lives in the hands of others who are greater than we are. We must trust them to take care of us. We must trust their wisdom. We are small creatures in the eyes of time. Even great heroes like you, and you'll forgive me for saying so, milady. There are minds far greater than ours behind this fabric of this creation. You once advised me to trust in the wisdom of the gods. Now I advise you to do the same, milady. Trust in the wisdom of fate. She has cared for this world for all time. She has nurtured it for all of its days with love and kindness. Do not fight against her warm embrace. Trust her now. She will care for this world of ours. She will heal its wounds. She will care for us for all eternity.
Aha! Yay!
Oh, how much I hate you. You came back? I'm so happy to see you. Throws his arms around your waist and gives you a big hug. You saved us. You saved us from the zombies. You're a great hero. And you were right. We are all safe here in Uthbanor. Those nasty undead monsters will never get to us here. Soon it will be all over, won't it? Because you're going to restore the balance, aren't you? Oh, I'm so happy that We won't have to fight anymore. And when I grow up, do you know where I'll be, do you? I'm going to be just like you. I'm going to be a great hero like you. I'll save everyone from the monsters. You'll see. Well, thanks for sharing. Do not burden your heart with worry, prophet from the north. This choice you face may seem impossible, but like all of our choices, is merely an illusion. None of this is truly up to you. None of it is your responsibility. You are not responsible for this sensuous sorrow, for it was meant to happen just like the river is meant to empty into the sea. You are merely the instrument of its passing. Put aside this guilt you have carried for so long. Allow yourself the relief that wells up within your heart. Be at peace, for you have suffered so much already, and listen to my words. You and I are merely scratches upon the stone of time, merely threads in the great tapestry of creation. It is a tapestry for the most exquisite beauty. Its intricacies are beyond the knowledge of mortals like us, who can only contemplate the slightest fraction of it all. You and I are privileged to be part of this magnificent creation, but that is all. We are not the artists who create events, but the actors who play them out. Accept this. Be at peace with your place in the universe. Does this fish seek to change the sea? No, it possesses a greater wisdom. It seeks only to live within the sea, and thus it finds fulfillment. Learn its lesson, prophet of the north. Do not burden your heart with worry. This choice you face, it is not a choice at all. It has already been written. You are merely an instrument in its passing. You will obey fate. That is destined, cannot be denied. And so, at last, she stands upon the edge of time, weighing within her heart the hopes and dreams of an eternity of souls. But how can one woman make such a choice? How can she speak for all who drift upon the tides of history? For 1,000 years they search all that can be known, conquer all that can be conquered, but with each great accomplishment, each great power, each greater power, they only learn more of their own helplessness. For one question always remains, one question that can never be answered. So convinced they are that the answer must exist, that they fail to understand the wisdom of creation. So deep they peer into the dreams that they fail to see the truth that stares at them from the unseen corners. And so they pose the question, and upon it they lay the future of all. For once the question is posed, so it must be answered. The broken shield can never be made whole again, and so the Unmaker comes to heed their command, and to reveal that which can never be revealed. There is no greater folly than the folly of those who refuse to accept the reality around them.
Listen here. Heed my words.
You betrayed me, you insolent cur. Yeah, this is Amhotep. You dared to stand against the Grand Caliph Amhotep, against he who speaks for Liet, and look at what your foolishness has wrought. You betrayed the law, and thus cast the world into ruin, and for this your soul shall be tormented for eternity. But you can still make a small gesture of amends. The world can still be saved, the balance can still be restored. You have seen what happens when mortals stand against the laws of creation, and you have learned your lesson. Bow before your superiors, bow before fate, for she carries the will of Liet. I command you to obey, foolish mortal. It is your duty. When you meet your former self, you must lie to her just as it has been destined. Do not further compound the unspeakable sin you have committed. Bow before fate and beg for her forgiveness. Do this, and perhaps the gods will take pity upon you and lessen the torture that you deserve to suffer. You must submit to fate. It is so destined. Paladin, do you remember me? We met not long ago at the watchtower of Oron Sul, deep within the lands of the dead. Do you remember? There are those who prefer to hide from the truth, those who cling to superstitious hope and pray to the fictitious gods to comfort their cowardly hearts. I was one of them. For all the talk of my courage in battle, I had no courage to look within my own heart. I refused to confront the truth about what I had become. And you allowed this, believing it was merciful, believing it would save me. Actually, no, I just wanted to avoid a totally unnecessary fight at the time. But it was not merciful. Instead of saving me, my delusion refuted all the accomplishment of my past. All my past vows were betrayed, my life rendered meaningless. Will you now try to save the world by condemning it to thine own endless delusion? Will you render meaningless all the accomplishments of history?
Listen well to what I have to say.
I know that I betrayed. This is Atalcan. I know that I betrayed you in the past, but you must listen to me nonetheless. There are many kinds of evils in this world. Foolish is the one who believes they'll all disappear as monsters or exercise their cruelty through simple brutality. The true evils of this world lie deeper and seek to destroy not our bodies but our souls. You may think me an evil man. I destroyed the people of Hirathanum because I knew it was the only way to kill the tyrant Ampothet. You may think that it was too great a sacrifice to make in the name of justice. If you think that, then you are wrong. Our lives on this earth are nothing compared to that what they stand for. Honor, justice, a higher law. If we betray such values, then we are not worthy of them in the first place. If we don't stand behind our convictions, then our lives are not worth living. To allow the Caliph to live, to let him continue to perpetrate his cruelty, that would have been a greater evil. If we turn away from our duty merely out of fear for our lives, then we would damn the very meaning of those lives. We would damn our very souls. We are defined by that for which we stand. Understand this and listen. Injustice cannot be tolerated no matter what the price. All tyrants must be brought down. And so you cannot let her get away with this. You cannot. Fate, she is the greatest tyrant of all. She sought to enslave all mortals for all eternity. But you have found a way. You have the means to deny her evil cause. You have the means to free us all and give meaning to all of our lives. You have the means to redefine history itself and make it glorious. Do not be a coward. Do not turn away from this opportunity, for it will not come again. Do not banish the world into a timid existence. Free it. Free us all.
I would have your attention for a moment.
Hurathan. This choice you face, it is indeed a quandary. On the one hand, if you obey fate and do this terrible thing, then everything we have seen will make perfect sense. All events will be consistent with both past and future, and with all the prophecies that have ever been uttered. This will restore the balance that you had broken, and the world can go on as it had before. It will be just as I had told you long ago. What is destined cannot be denied. But on the other hand, if it really is possible for you to deny fate, then the consequences are mind-boggling. It will change everything, including the very laws of logic. Consider this, for example. Who is that person who you shall meet here upon this cliff? Who is she? Is she really your past self? If you tell her the truth about the century of sorrow, then she cannot be your past self, for in your past you were told a lie. But then, who is she? Is she an emissary from another reality in which the century of sorrow never happens? An alternative universe in which prophecies are illusions and the act of mortals are truly free? Let us suppose that this is so, but then answer me this. Does that universe deserve more mercy than this one? Are its inhabitants more worthy of survival than we are? Why should we perish while they are freed? And if you sacrifice all of us, will they truly be free, or will they merely be trapped in a different fate, just as set in stone as ours? Honestly, I do not know. Perhaps we cannot know the answers to these questions. Perhaps these worlds can only make contact at this one moment, or else their fates would be too entwined to diverge into different eternities. But if we do not know, then how can we possibly make any choice at all? Can we choose to destroy ourselves for the sake of some alternate universe? Or do we instead choose to submit to fate and live within a comfortable delusion? Long ago, when I was still alive, you came to me in a dream. You spoke with the splinters into which my mind had shattered, and among them you found hope. You took pity on my broken shell. If some can find comfort in delusion, then why not let them? Why not let them live in peace, even at the price of ignorance?
I'm going to make the choice based on my character, not what I would choose as a person.
Ania! Oh, Ania, this is terrible. If you do this, if you speak this terrible lie, then all that has happened will have been for nothing. All of the sacrifices will have been pointless. Don't you see? The death of all my kin, the death of all these poor people. I know that we must all die someday, as must all mortals, but gods, let our deaths mean something. Please let them not be futile. If you obey fate, then all of this suffering, this century of sorrow, it will have all been meaningless. Oh, I cannot imagine anything more terrible. And yet, can you really let the world die when you have the opportunity to save it? Can you really sacrifice the lives of future generations for the sake of those who have already died?
Well, does it matter?
Oh, Anya, I really don't know what to tell you. When we were traveling together across swamps and forests and braving dangers of the shattered peaks, it was all so simple then. Our hearts were clear and brave. But this? How can one make a choice between two such terrible sins? I'm sorry, Anya, I just cannot help you. Cannot help you make this decision. I'm so sorry I let you down.
I've something to say.
We have been through a lot together, you and I. I have followed you across poison fields and cliffs of fire, across the sky and the sand, and across the landscape of dreams. Thus my fate has been entwined with yours. And now we stand here at the edge of time, where you face the greatest choice that any mortal has ever faced. A choice to remake the very nature of this creation. With that choice comes a responsibility that no mortal woman should ever be forced to bear. But you do not bear this burden alone, my friend. I'm here at your side, and I will help you bear it. I will help you be at peace with the choice that you must make. It will be difficult, but you are not alone. When I woke from the timeless labyrinth of dreams, I swore that I would do everything I could to prevent your fate. I swore that I would prevent you from uttering that terrible lie which shattered the balance of creation. That was my vow. But now I understand. I understand why you must do this. The balance must be restored. The fate of all now lies in your hands, Anina, and you cannot let them perish. You must obey fate. You must deceive your former self. Your soul will be damned for this, as will mine for standing at your side, but our souls are nothing compared to the fate of the world. That will be our sacrifice, damnation of our souls in return for the salvation of others. You must do this. You must do it for the sake of all. Balance must be restored. Come, Ania, stand up to your duty. I will be standing behind you.
Listen well to what I have to say.
Uther Palandras. In my pride, I believed that I could remake destiny. I believed that my will could conquer that of even the gods. But I was wrong. I was blinded by my own ego, righteously thinking that it was up to me to save the world. But now I understand. Creation's logic is far greater than the narrow knowledge of the wisest sage, the most gifted prophet. The fate of the world is greater than the soul of any woman or any king. You cannot betray the uncounted unborn, you must submit to your destiny. Do not underestimate the strength and resolve of mortals. They will raise themselves from the ashes of this century of sorrow. Kingdoms will be rebuilt, histories reconstructed, and in time all of these wounds will be healed. And if all the events of our lives are just pre-made scratches in the stone of time, then so be it. They are no less meaningful, no less worthy of respect. These people whose fate you hold in your hands, they do not perceive the cage within which they are trapped. A chain unfelt does not fetter the heart. Let them live in blissful ignorance. Only prophets know the truth, and we have no obligation, indeed no right, to reveal it to others. We must carry this burden alone. Ebenorn, you must listen to me. I understand your pain, and I share it. I too am to blame for all that has happened, for this trap that fate has placed around you, and for this I am truly sorry. In my pride, I believed that I understood the mysteries of the world. I believed that the destiny Uther Palandras had seen could be averted, and I myself sent you to hear Ratharim to find the way. But we were, all of us, merely fools, merely upstart children playing with forces far beyond our tiny minds. And for our foolishness, the world has paid a terrible price. It has always been so. The folly of kings paid for by the blood of innocents, and the folly of the heresiarchs was the greatest of all, an attempt to change the laws of existence itself. Long have I studied their ancient texts. Their pride and their glory were their downfall. Throughout their tortured history, they learned so much of their secrets of creation, but through all of it, they failed to learn the most important lesson of all, humility. And now their ultimate monstrous plan stands to destroy us all. That is why you must listen to me. In the end, all of our ideals and ambitions, all of our knowledge and art, they are irrelevant. The noblest wills of kings and mortals submit to the prime desire that we share with the basis of creatures, survival. Without that there is nothing. Without the future there is no past. Even freedom is not worth the price. The balance must be restored. You must do this, even if it means that your soul and mine are forever damned for this terrible sin. You must do this for all of those whose fate you hold in your palm of your hand. So, Heresiarchs left. Who are you? He bows deeply before you. At last she comes, the unmaker of cages, the hope of history, and thus, astride the edge of time, she completes the grand design. For in her hand she holds the fate of all. 100 generations have died for this one moment, the moment from which all nature flows. This is the moment which defines all hopes and dreams. This is what gives meaning to all accomplishments and conquests, to all emotion and art, to all of the years spent searching. The moment for which all else has been sacrificed, 1,000 lines of blood, 100 years of pain, the hope and fate of all. At last it comes to an end, for now she brings to us the answer to the one question that lies deepest within our hearts.
The only question we ever really cared about. What is the nature of our existence? Are we merely threads in the great eternal tapestry, forever entangled between our past and our future? Or are we the weavers whose wheel creates history, who bring it into a transient but glorious existence? Now at last we shall know the answer, for the Unmaker has finally come. Hail the Unmaker of cages! Hail the hope of history! You must understand the true weight of this choice you face, Unmaker. Yours is the choice that defines all of creation, past and present. If you defy fate, then she has never existed. If you defy her now, then she has never changed the hearts of mortals, and we have always been free. Please, please do not fail us now. So much has been sacrificed to bring you this power. It is the power to save all mortals from the chains of slavery, to give meaning to all who have ever lived and died. You have the power to give meaning to our past. And that past is far greater than you can imagine. 100 millennia of glorious history, 1,000 civilizations from unfathomable efforts and felt to uncountable grief, a continent of libraries filled with learning and museums filled with such art that not even gods can fully appreciate it all. An ocean of lives, each born of love and nurtured against the unspeakable odds of hostile universe, each struggling to find shelter in this existence and crying out in pain as it falls to inevitable death. Its only dying wish that its brief existence had some meaning. Will you deny them that? Will you make their existence meaningless? Can you stand before your ancestors, those who made all that you know, and deny them the freedom that they deserve? Please don't turn away from the opportunity that was given to you. It will never come again. Please save us from the chains of fate. Please give our lives meaning. The fate of all now lies in your hands, Unmaker. She comes. Effortless. Her past self comes to you, her eyes wide with wonder. So at last you have come. Yes, I have come to learn my fate. Then listen well, for there isn't much time. You have traveled a long way, my sister, but you cannot imagine how long is the road that still lies before you. You cannot imagine the things that I have seen. The century of sorrow, you have seen it. Yes. And there is no hope, there is no way to prevent it. You know something, don't you? You consider deeply the choice that now lies before you. The Erisars found a way, didn't they? A way to defeat fate. Our options are, okay, you remember being told this, so basically repeat your memory. Yes, they found a way to defeat fate. Or, yes, they found a way to defeat fate, and they have given that power to me, so diverge. Or, no, they only found illusion. There is no way to defeat fate. There is no such thing as fate. So basically, I don't think that. I think two answers here matter. Either you repeat previous history, or you diverge from it in any way. Our character was neutral good, and I think at the start of the campaign I said something like about the prophecies that I'm gonna be more about neutral observer type. I have no interest in trying to take private or personal gain from it, or go out of my way to basically try to fix every little thing that goes wrong in my prophecies. So in that sense,
I'm forced into a very nasty situation because I never wanted to get that involved in everything. Now the choice is for my character. However, here's the problem from my character's perspective. Uh, I've never chosen to do harm, in a way. I've always tried to do my best to try to avoid bad things from happening. I also judged Uther Palandras very harshly for basically sacrificing the innocents. I think I said something about there must have been other ways to achieve the same thing. So I think it becomes, at least from my character's perspective, it comes between a choice of a couple of things. I don't think my character could easily justify basically taking responsibility for the Century of Sorrow, because it would be an intentional act of a great evil and cruelty upon others. The problem being that the consequences of that choice are going to be unknown. Very likely is the destruction of the entire world. So there comes the other balancing part. I said, I think, I personally believe, not as a character, that how you sort of balance the moral responsibility of things is based both on intention and consequence. That you have to evaluate the situation and see where you have to have. You can't rely on intention alone, but staring at the consequences alone is also unreasonable. It's a mixture of things that you basically judge by case, looking at the situation and the circumstances around it, and make your judgment. Also, that this is personal wise, also that while you try to hold up certain principles and rules, they're totally meaningless if the cost of that becomes that the things that they're trying to protect end up being destroyed entirely. They're not some kind of supreme things that are separated from everything else. You might think, well, some kind of right, let's say, a right to life, right to free speech, things like that. Maybe not right to life, that might be hard to tie in this matter, but anyway, it's not some kind of a separate higher goal that for it to be that you can sacrifice everything else just to uphold it. It gains really value through people and how it basically allows them to live through them. So in order to protect those rights or values, whatever, you have to wipe out all the peoples that basically uphold them or rely on them. They become, it's not worthwhile. You're upholding those principles because of the value they bring and because of the people. So you don't sacrifice the things that they're supposed to protect just to uphold the principle itself. But for my character, what's the choice going to be? Always objected to the greater good principle. At the same time, I don't recall what choices I made during the time. We must do whatever we can to prevent the Century of Sorrow. But now we know it's just a small price. We don't have other options. We either make this choice, so I can't back down from this choice in that way either. I can't. Backing down would be making a choice, basically. My problem here is, again, from a character's perspective, is that every guy who basically gave us advice is another human like us. At least when I encountered Fate, it was a situation where she explained it that the problem is not really the free choice. It never was. The problem is the perspective of individual mortal. That's where the problem lies. Because of the limited vision and how time flows for a mortal, it seems that they have no choice. But from Fate's perspective, even though she knows everything, the path that they'll take, the consequences of their... I'd say path that they'll take, that might be more accurate. It doesn't mean that they never had a choice. He just, because he sees all time, past and future as a whole. He sees how the picture is going to be painted. So in that case, we are trapped in a cage, but is it a meaningful cage? I wish I would remember my earlier justifications and choices better, because I'm leaning towards saving the world, because I see this more as a situation as I did with when we entered the Drow temple and there was talk about breaking the limits, gaining knowledge and breaking the cages that we are being limited to, where no choice matters, so you might just do whatever pops into your mind, because you're not responsible for anything. And we basically chose to walk away from it. What I'm getting from that is that we were never the one to try to rage and try to break out of this cage, try to do what our very best to basically try to gain access to all the little bits and pieces of forbidden information and everything like that. This sort of cage, in question marks, was never much of a cage for us. It was sort of a... we accepted certain realities or limitations to our existence and our knowledge, that that certain things might be beyond us, and the consequences of going there are not gonna be good. So I'm leaning towards saving the world, maintaining it. It would be more fitting for our neutral perspective too. If I was more chaotic, I think I would have chosen go for the free will, the sort of a rebelling against the notion that there's a chain around your neck, even though, well, I as a prophet might feel it, but I still feel that the chain is sort of it's largely meaningless. It comes from the limited view of mortals, because of the way that they can only experience time as from past to future, and causality in that way too. They don't understand that if you don't, if you see it as an objective, from an objective perspective as a whole, You have to be aware of all the choices that ever were made, because it's not a progression of things. It's just you see it as a whole. It's there and it is what it is. That's what every creature, living creature that ever existed, those were the choices they made, and this is the image that it produced. It doesn't mean that the choices were never meaningful or they were never real choices. It just means that the shape it took happened to be this. And if you can see all time from the start to the beginning, you have to be aware of the choices that everyone made during that time. But I don't see those choices being any less meaningful because of it. I suppose it's like, let's say, some kind of a chemical reaction. You know how the reaction will go, or like a snowflake. You know how it's going to be formed. You can make certain predictions that you can, in very great detail, determine how every snowflake is going to be. However, you can never. Each one of them will be unique. Like if you would basically create this universe again and have a similar amount of people with similar type of events, you would still create a certain shape of events that would be different from our current universe that our character lives in. But still, fate would see the shape, right? The whole shape constantly. Each choice made would still be meaningful. It would still be a proper choice, but the whole shape of the sculpture that each individual choices formed would be different from what we had here. So in that sense, I don't see it as a cage. It can be experienced as just, but destroying everything because of something like that, something that I think can reasonably attribute it to your own limited perspective, is insanity. It's very similar to the drow experience, where you basically voluntarily rather they'll subjugate yourself to become totally mad in some kind of a extremely radical attempt to escape from some perceived change. Not change, but chains. So, you remember being told this. Yes, they found a way to defeat fate. Please tell me what you know. Very well, listen to me. He listens attentively. Deep within the Thargona, beneath the city of Hirathanum, within the ruins of ancient Heres, there lies an object of great power. It is called the Pentarad. What is it? I don't actually recall it. Okay. It's a link in a chain which binds the past and the future. It is a physical manifestation of time itself, and you, my sister, you must destroy it. It's a link in a chain, the chain which binds the past and the future. It is a physical manifestation of time itself. Does it matter what choice I made? It is a link in a chain, the chain which binds the past and the future. It is a physical manifestation of time itself, and I have destroyed it. No, I didn't say I have destroyed it, because I never did. You have destroyed it, because you now have the tools to do it. I didn't have it, that's how I told it. What? You must trust me. The only way to defeat fate is to shatter the chains which hold each instant trapped between the past and the future. That sounds like madness. No, the chain cannot truly be destroyed. The Pentarad can only be shattered for an instant and will reform again. But in that instant, you will be free from the chains of fate, and you will be allowed to make a choice
true free choice. What choice? To save the world or to destroy it? To let the century of sorrow unfold as foretold by the prophets, or to unmake the future that you have seen in your nightmares? To unmake the future so that a new future shall be born. And this is what the Heresars have done. Nod silently. And suppose I do this, and a new future is born. How can we know if that new future will be any better than the old? We cannot, but you have seen what the century of sorrow falls. That it was merely a glimpse. You cannot imagine the horrors that I have witnessed. Trust me, my sister, what lies in my past is far worse than any future that you can create. But wait, if you are truly my future, and if I destroy the Pentaract, then it means you have done so as well. So then it should have already worked. Then why did the Century of Sorrow still happen? Because I could not do it. You could not or would not. I had not the means. The Pentaract cannot be harmed by any weapon or magic known to mortals. That is why I spent so many years searching for a way to destroy it. And in that time the Century of Sorrow has devoured the world. Until now, at this moment, I stand at the very brink of the end of days. But at long last I have succeeded. You have found a way to destroy it? Yes, I have found a way to destroy the Pentaract. But not only that, I have found a way that you can do it. I have found a way to pass the power to you, to change my very history. How? With this. Hold out the scepter of lore. This is a splinter of lore's hammer, the hammer with which creation itself was forged. It is a most sacred artifact. It does not obey the laws of existence. Unlike other objects, it does not follow the normal flow of time. That is why I can give it to you now. It is a gift passed from the future into the past. You must take this scepter and enter the ancient city of Jerez. You must find the Pentaract and destroy it. And then what will happen? Then, for a brief instant, you will be free of the chains of fate. You'll be allowed to make the choice, to allow the century of sorrow, or to banish it from history. This is what the Heresars have done. Very well, I'll do it. So how do I enter the city of Jerez? Ask the speaker of the Chantry of Weavers. He will show you the way. The speaker? He knows the way. Yes, but you must hurry. Take this scepter and know, my sister, that in the palm of your hand you hold the fate of all.
You hear a great noise from the center of the chamber. Interact reformed. The ground trembles. A new Pentaract is formed. Balance has been restored. Thus ends the Century of Sorrow. And so, that which was destined has indeed come to pass. The nightmare of prophets, the century of sorrows, For though some may struggle against their fate, in the end she must prevail. In the end, there is only one shape of time. NWN has seen this with her own eyes. She has looked upon the face of destiny and has seen her wisdom. Life is more precious than the ambitions of kings and mortals. Life is its own meaning, its own purpose. For its sake all else is surrendered. And so the choice that was made was never a choice at all. The moment had always been written. This is the nature of creation. What is destined cannot be denied. Right. I also think it's sort of taking the account if I had told something else and the question of other realities, I think I would be of the leaning toward the thinking that we should probably focus on primarily taking care of our own universe or future and let other universes worry about their own futures. I'm sure they have they're filled with creatures that are capable of taking on that responsibility. And so you have come to the end of your tale. Indeed, but I still have questions. Go ahead, ask your questions. So, is it true? Does fate indeed rule all our actions? Yes, all of your actions have always been preordained. So there is no free will? No, but what difference does that make? What is so important about free will? It gives our lives meaning. Our lives have meaning anyway. All the actions you have taken, they still have consequences, they still have purpose. Even the tiniest act has a place in the grand scheme. But it doesn't. That line of thinking makes no sense. Because you never made a choice, and the consequences are only meaningful, really, if you made a choice. Otherwise, there's not much meaning to it. It's like watching robots do something. Robots do something in a world that only has other robots doing something. The problem is you can't give an answer. No one can. I think the Fate's given answer was much better in this. It's like if you coming back to the intentionally causing some kind of a reaction, some kind of chemical reactions. Like I'm not a fucking chemist. I'm terrible at chemistry, but you can see put into substances or into a cup and there's some kind of a volatile explosion. My understanding of the fate's response or version of events would be like uh, because of fate seeing the entire time as a whole, each word like this is like a single chemical reaction. It just goes a certain way, and because she sees it from start to finish, she can say this will happen in exact detail. But if you would do the chemical reaction again and again in a different test tube, the end result would be somewhat always slightly different. It wouldn't be identical to the previous one, even though it's the same world. So I see it more in that way. In that all the different particles of that chemical experience would be the individuals making choices. It can only unfold in certain shapes, because those are the choices they made. But if you would have a similar amount of people making choices again, you would have a reaction again, but the end shape would be different each time. So in that sense, fate didn't decide for each individual particle how they're going to do every little thing in their lives. What fate just does is fate knows everything already. So it can say to any individual that happens to be at a very certain specific point of time or place in the overall sculpture where that his path has come from and where it's gonna take. Because time has no meaning in that sense. But from the point of view of the one experiencing that, it seems to devalue his choices because someone already has viewed them and has viewed the consequences of them. It's a concept that you, from your perspective, you can't wrap your head around that really. It's like writing a book about your life, and fate has basically has the finished book all, from the start of everyone in her hand, and she can read it from start to finish. And this is what happened. But it doesn't change the fact that during that experience of that person's lives, you made meaningful choices to yourself. Because acting them out is what makes them real. Without any of them, the fabric of time would be incomplete. And I'm not convinced about the storyteller's perspective. And what if I had defied fate? What if I had not restored the balance? You could not have. You can. It's a real choice. That was the entire point. That in that dark area, you could make the choice. You think you had a choice, but that was an illusion. You made the choice that you made because you were destined to do so. Yeah, this isn't a particularly good explanation. I don't think this betters this experience in any way. In fact, I think this detracts from the experience. I suppose this is more or less what some of the people understand this. Maybe talking with fate might have been a more preferable option here. I feel this is similar to the intention versus consequences discussion. It's basically taking up like all the things that anyone tried to put on one of their options, it just happened to come through the extreme versions, and that doesn't make sense to me. I'm not particularly interested in reading this crap. Now balance is restored to the world and the century of sorrow is over. People of the world will rise from its ashes and rebuild all that was lost. All the great cities and kingdoms, all the knowledge and art. There will still be plenty of hope in the world, and in time it will heal all of these wounds. And so 1,000 stories shall continue to unfold, some heroic, some tragic, but all worth telling. Would you like to hear one of them? Yes. And sit, make yourself comfortable and listen. Mug of ale in a country tavern. The end. I think this, yeah, can I skip this shit? I don't necessarily want to. I think this is largely a well-made module. The best part, I think, when it comes to the end of this, both options, I think, are perfectly fine. I actually prefer it that way, where you have different people basically come and tell you their own versions of why you must do things, and they're all very limited perspectives on this. They're not trying to even really convince you, they're just saying how they see it and why you must do it. And for different type of characters, they might carry different weight. Lawful character would probably feel very strongly about trying to just fix things. And a chaotic character will probably have strong leanings toward trying to basically prove that you can actually make choices and you're not chained to the prophecy or fate. Harder for a neutral character. I still think both choices would be fine. One would be a more personal. Leadership positions might sort of lean toward for the dirty hands approach, trying to go for the lesser evil, as I did. But at the same time, more personal belief, like you will never do wrong, might lean toward going for the destruction of the world. Which is odd, because you might think it would be a greater crime, but it's not like it's just the end. Everything has an end. Everything dies. But it's the difference between... I think there's some kind of a moral dilemma, or let's say a problem. Like, someone threatens to kill people if you refuse to, let's say, put a bullet in a decrepit old man. He says that if you shoot the man, he'll let 10 other people go, but if you don't shoot, he's basically going to kill them all. So on the surface, it's just, yeah, do you choose between the one life or the, let's say, the 10 other lives that would be saved? But but it can be looked easily in a way. Are you going to kill someone or not? Because you can't control what the other guy really does. He might very well shoot the 10 other guys anyway. He just wants to put you in a amusing position for himself. So it would be very reasonable for a person who just use moral responsibility through the action he takes to decline from shooting the old man and let basically see if the threat is a bluff or not. and even choose it even though he would believe that the other guy is going to kill the others, because the important part would be that he's not going to kill anyone. He hasn't dirtied it. He hasn't done anything wrong at that point. It's all on the killer who takes those lives, and it's a reasonable view to take. But from that point of view, it might have been easier to basically let the world be destroyed, because it's not really an action, the destruction of the world. It's basically a consequence of you not pulling the trigger on the center of sorrow. You just walking away from it all. So I like it. I'd say if there's a big problems with this game is that the pathfinding shit is incredibly annoying. It's part of the Neverwinter Nights engine problem naturally, but you can always make choices. Are you going to if you acknowledge that the game has sort of pathfinding problems, maybe you should choose tile sets and build maps that mitigate those problems. And I feel certain areas in this game certainly did not do that, and they were a pain to travel through. Also, pacing is an issue. I feel certain stretches, like the century of you dreaming, was sort of stretched out unnecessarily. Things like that. But overall, I like this a lot. For a couple of reasons. Overall, the plot is just fine. It makes sense. The choice seems like it's something that's it's a proper choice. Not just a. I mean, you might go either way. They're all good for different reasons. I don't necessarily like the rationale the game gives you afterward for you making the choice, but when you're making it, the choice seems meaningful. There are interesting encounters, a huge variety of creatures, and the game doesn't sort of hold back too much when it kicks you in the nutsack. You can make stupid choices and the game punishes you for them. With going into the Lich's script, you have to pay for it. You can recover some of it back later, but you're still gonna pay for it. And I think if I hadn't killed it, and if I had basically subdued myself fully and tried to avoid the fight, I would have had to give up more. I think he wants a tribute of some sort, and that means you have to give up some of your loot, a certain value of it, and that can be quite a lot. So I like that the game basically punishes you severely if you make stupid things. If you everything points to this being a terrible thing to do, there's a consequence to that, and it's not a good consequence. Going to the academy loses you a fucking level, and that's like the worst thing a role player can suffer in a game like this. So yeah, I like this a lot. Not sure if I would like to play it again. I wish I would have known where that we end up in the 14-15 level range at the end of the adventure. I wish I would have known that before I started it, because it would have allowed for I think a better character plan. This sort of, yeah, we were an archer with some arcane archery ability, but frankly, the arcane archery played a very minor point. The fighter levels are much more valuable overall, and the initial feats that anyone could have taken. We did get, I don't want to say it's meaningless, because we did get +2 arrows automatically, and that meant that the archery was viable throughout most of the adventure. So it's not a total loss. I just feel we could have gotten more out of it. Yeah. Also, I suppose as a negative, the game isn't always clear about what you need to do, so it can lead to you wasting time, because you honestly don't know what to do. And in the Hirathanum city, we couldn't even backtrack to try to go for the join the rebels option, I think. Also, I suppose the role-playing options are fairly limited. You can make choices, but it's still very it's streamlined towards certain type of character. On the positive, it says immediately at the start what type of character it's thinking about. So it's not I wouldn't consider it a huge down, a negative. But at the same time, it is limiting. At the same time, it allows, I think, maybe for you to focus on a more meaningful adventure creation, because you can focus on creating the adventure for a single or a more limited type of a character, instead of having all kinds of different evil bastards who don't give a shit about anything be included in the adventure dialogue writing. So yeah, I think this is a good one, but at the same time I think it has some issues. And once you know, I suppose, how it goes, I'm not sure if there's almost that much value in trying to replay it. There are some options that might make a difference, but in the end, I'm not sure those would be all that meaningful. They would be flavoring at best, so... Good story-focused adventure, let's put it that way. With some interesting tactical encounters. And another positive is that the game often doesn't, I feel, doesn't punish you too much for not fighting against everything. It allows you to have a lot of tactical options and different type of characters, like stealth characters, probably fare fairly well in this. You can avoid all the nasty shit. You can get access to more things. And you have enough tools to still make it. So, yeah, good story-driven module, I suppose.